The Pittsburgh parks we know and love are the legacy gifts of historic philanthropists like Mary Schenley and Helen Clay Frick. But they are also the legacy of Pittsburghers living and working today to enhance the parks for future generations.
I am a local product. I went to Whiteman, Linden, and Allderdice in Carnegie Mellon, and I've never lived more than 2 or 3 miles from Schenley Park.
My grandfather used to take my father for long walks in Frick Park. It's a tradition that I wanted to continue with my son.
The park that I remember the most would be Highland Park. I could get there on a streetcar.
Lifelong connections, as well as the irresistible natural beauty of the parks, have helped to transform some Pittsburghers into committed park advocates.
When I was a grown-up, I went to Mill Park every day and walked the dog.
When I came here 50 years ago, what I really loved about Frick Park is the wildness.
I was in Hong Kong. Those parks, they are not that big as like in Pittsburgh. So when I first see people did mountain biking in the city, that's pretty amazing.
We never know what we're gonna see when we come up the hill. Seriously, we never know what we're gonna find when we get to the walled garden.
If you're gonna really devote yourself to something, it better be something you personally enjoy, where you can make a difference. Parks are what make cities livable.
Over the last 25 years, the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy has brought about a renaissance in our parks. Year after year, project by project, we have put the joy of parks within easy reach of every Pittsburgher. And we can only do it because when the time comes, passionate park advocates step up. Tonight, the Parks Conservancy is gratified to honor the recipients of the 2021 Mary Schenley Medal for Parks Stewardship.
I'm Michael Ryan. I'm one of the trustees of the Ryan Memorial Foundation that my dad set up when he died in 1995. My grandfather started MSA Safety. He grew up in a mining community in western Pennsylvania, and he was a mining engineer. He thought that there was a better way of preventing explosions, and so then he worked on developing with Thomas Edison the electric cap lamp that miners could use instead of acetylene flames, which of course would ignite any gas or dust that was there. So he wanted to make it possible for people to work in safety.
For nearly 20 years, the Ryan family has consistently supported the work of the Parks Conservancy. A matching gift in 2010 released nearly $3 million in federal funds for trail restoration work in all the major parks.
Anything that improves the safety is going to attract us. It's extremely important for children that they have a safe place to play.
It's no wonder that in 2015, the Ryan Memorial Foundation stepped up to provide one of the leadership gifts that began the restoration of August Wilson Park, located in the Hill District next to the Playwrights' boyhood home. The park had been neglected for decades before the Parks Conservancy transformed it into an innovative, safe play space.
August Wilson Park is just really well designed. It has all the things I look for in a park, which is a safe surface for children to play on. It has activities for different ages. When parents say, let's go to the park, everyone will want to go there because there's something for everyone to do. Because you can walk here on hot nights. I'm sure there's probably a pretty good breeze coming up the valley. I could sit here for a long time looking out over the Allegheny River and remembering growing up in Pittsburgh.
People find so many different reasons to love our parks. Some turn that love into action.
The first time I came here is 2007. Before I met Bill, I didn't know this city exists. I never heard about Pittsburgh because that's not a tourist city. And when I first came here, I have a different impression. Everybody, they are so nice and friendly. They know each other, they help each other.
I've been using the parks more than ever in the last, since our son was born. We come here regularly, almost weekly, on bicycles. The Pittsburgh parks are special because they contain within these vast green spaces these special monuments, these architectural gems.
The Benters have supported many major park projects. The first was the restoration of the Mary Schenley Fountain at Schenley Plaza. It's a tribute to the woman whose generosity and vision gave us Schenley Park. Today's park visionaries are often inspired by their gratitude for all that the parks provide.
I feel some obligation because I believe I get more than my fair share of use out of the Pittsburgh park system. The two of us living in an apartment in the Strip District don't have a backyard or any yard, and so the parks are kind of our backyard.
This will be a very important mission for us to continue to support the Parks Conservancy and make it even a better city to live in the next 25 and 50 years and 100 years.
Longtime Pittsburgh residents Sylvia and Alex Spire are still discovering new pleasures in the parks they've loved their whole lives.
When I was a kid, we just lived right on Forbes Street. We'd walk into Schenley Park. So, I learned Schenley Park, almost all the trails in Schenley Park over the years.
I go with Romeo for a walk in the woods almost every day. It's just a wonderful place to get away from everything. People discovered how wonderful nature is. That one year where they were like prisoners in their houses, but being able to go to the park, that was like heaven to everybody.
And my father was on the board of the Parks Conservancy, and every weekend he would take an hour, 2-hour walk in Schenley Park. And when he passed away, we wanted to do something to honor my dad.
The Spire's leadership allowed for the Conservancy's ambitious multi-year restoration of the Westinghouse Memorial in Schenley Park.
Well, the memorial was one of the things in Schenley Park that had been ignored for years. This pond was a mess. It just didn't look right at all. And it was a gem. Right across from Carnegie Mellon, right across from Flagstaff Hill. It deserved to be improved. And George Westinghouse was one of the great Pittsburgh industrialists. We were happy to be part of that and honor my dad.
The Mellon Park Walled Garden is a treasure. It was restored by the Parks Conservancy in 2009. Pittsburghers can enjoy this exquisite site because a family chose to turn their grief into an everlasting gift.
We lost our daughter in a car accident in 1999, which is really devastating to everybody who knew her and, of course, to us and to her brother. And after a few years, we decided that we would like to do something in her memory.
The first place that we thought of was the Walled Garden because it was one of Annie's favorite places. From the time she was a little girl, we used to bring her here. There were school picnics and picnics with friends. The Walled Garden was always really beloved, even before it was restored. It was always a magical space.
In 2009, garden beds were missing, and there were a lot of kind of half-dead trees around. There was no real entrance, and of course the fountain wasn't working either.
There was not a single bit of seating. There really was no provision for the public to be in there. Fred Bonsey, the landscape architect, is an enormously important part of this story. One thing he said in the beginning, which was challenging to us, was, let's not just restore it as it was. Let's put something new in it. Let's have some kind of art that's brand new. And so an artist named Janet Zweig was chosen. And what she did was she made a star field in the lawn of the Walled Garden that when you walk into the Walled Garden daytime, you can't even see it.
When you come in as the sun is setting and you start to see small lights in the garden, it's a very subtle effect. It takes you by surprise.
We are inside of a work of art when we are here. It's a very spiritual and peaceful place.
The years from 2012 to 2020 were extremely productive for the Parks Conservancy. We completed 6 major capital projects. Throughout those busy years, Daniel Booker served as our chairman of the board.
It is a volunteer job, emphasis on job. It requires a lot of attention.
Booker's legacy includes his work on the restoration of Mellon Square in the heart of downtown and the landmark Frick Environmental Center. It's a nationally celebrated center for environmental education, built with the highest standards of sustainable design.
So we had some major projects in those years, and by and large, I think we had a lot of success.
Debbie Booker, also a huge supporter to the PPC, has been witness to the transformation in our parks. She understands what it takes and what's needed.
First thing that pops into my mind is more money. More money. That's what we want for them. They're so expensive, and you see some of the plans, and it just looks just out of reach. I'd love to be able to do everything.
Every project we do, large or small, has to be done right. It has to be done in an impactful way. I think we've demonstrated the people of Pittsburgh trust us in terms of our judgment and our commitment to making the parks world-class.
Out of the thousands of people who love and enjoy our parks every year, a few step forward to personally champion the parks. These folks are profoundly committed to making sure that every Pittsburgher has access to the delight and sense of renewal that we experience in parks.
The Parks Conservancy has been exceptionally valuable to the city of Pittsburgh. There's no question about that.
The record of the Parks Conservancy to date has been so impressive that it's going to be a tough act to follow. People have seen what it's possible for philanthropy to accomplish. The parks keep getting better and better.
The Conservancy is just broadening its commitment across the city. They seem to be really reaching out into the communities. They are wonderful to work with.
I hope that we'll be able to, in every neighborhood of the city, have facilities that are as good as this one. I think if we achieve that, we will have made a difference.
Recognizing the vital role of parks advocates and philanthropists, the Conservancy is proud tonight to honor the Ryan Memorial Foundation, Sylvia and Alex Spire, Vivian and Bill Benter, Elizabeth and Joe Siemens, and Debbie and Dan Booker, with the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy's 2021 Mary Schenley Medal for Park Stewardship. Yes, they have made a difference.